What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And if you guys are, it's about to get quite a bit better. I've got a story time for y'all today that I think you're gonna really enjoy. It's a story time about me as a little kid before I realized that my crazy conspiracy theorist uncle who thinks he's in the Illuminati convinced me that he had a time machine. Before I realized that he was a nut job, there was a time where I really admired him. And it's the reason that my mom basically had to sit me down and tell me that he was an absolute wackadoodle. Regardless, it is pretty funny, and I figured you guys would enjoy it, so without further ado, let's get right into the video. You would think that it's illegal. I'm getting quiet now. Lay low when you reach zone, wiping down. Making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound. Just someone. Alright, so I have a crazy uncle who's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I've told a couple of stories about him here on the channel. It was a while ago, but a couple basics things you gotta know. He's convinced he's been taken by aliens. He thinks he's literally in the Illuminati. Sorry, oh my god. The conspiracy theory gods don't want me to talk about my uncle, so they're trying to shut me up, dude, but I will not be silenced. He's just overall a crazy guy, and I know that now whenever I see him at family get-togethers or whatever. I just kind of take whatever he says with a massive grain of salt, like a literal boulder of salt. I just don't believe a single thing he says. It's entertaining, yeah, because, you know, he's a crazy person, but regardless, at the time I wasn't so aware of it. I was probably about 8 years old, and it was Christmas Eve, and we had just gotten to my Oma's house, which is what we did every Christmas Eve. It's like, that's when the Germans celebrate their Christmas, and so my mom and dad were like greeting all of her siblings, all my cousins and whatnot, and my crazy uncle, I don't know if he was aware of the fact that I didn't realize he was crazy, or like if there was a twinkle in my eye saying I was a naive kid who would believe anything. He walks right over to me and he's like, how would you like to be in on a secret science experiment that will change the course of humanity? And obviously, 8-year-old me is like, hold up, little old man. Okay, hear me out here. Yes, sign me up. I don't care, dude. Put me in a centrifuge, blast me into space, whatever. Anything was cool with me. I was a kid. I wasn't really like afraid of anything. It was my uncle. And yes, I would love to be a part of something that is going to change the future. And because he was acting like it was a secret, I felt really cool, you know? I was the youngest cousin at the time, so like I was the baby. So the fact that I was being included in something special, I thought was super sick. So I follow my uncle into the garage, and he lived with my Oma at the time, which is his mom, literally in her basement, so take that how you will. At the time, that was at the time, okay? He doesn't now. And he walks over to the garage where there was like this tarp, and he says, you have to come under the tarp. And I'm like, okay, bro, no problem. Obviously, no stress for me, dog. We going under the tarp. And we go under the tarp, and sitting there is this like bicycle contraption put around this lampshade thing that was rigged with like a pulley system, where if you pedaled the bike, the lampshade would spin. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell that somehow the lampshade spinning was the contraption underneath this tarp. I don't know why my uncle had hidden it, you know, it was literally just junk he had put together, and it wouldn't even fan you, because the lampshade would just, like, cover your head. And he's like, my boy, do you realize what it is? And I'm like, no, I really have no idea, dude. It looks like a broken bicycle being used to spin a lampshade around. Maybe if you were trying to get the disco on, or roleplay as a lamp in a tornado, it would be pretty cool, I guess, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what I'm looking at. And he's like, can't you see? It's a time machine. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? This is clearly not a time machine. And he's like, oh, your parents have told you nothing of my inventions, have they? And at the time, my parents hadn't said anything of my inventions. I had no clue what he's talking about. So I said no, and he starts telling me that, like, back in the 70s, he invented this thing that let people breathe in space, but the government took it away because it was too powerful. And I'm sitting here believing every word of this, all right? My uncle is obviously a little bit nuts, but my parents hadn't sat me down yet and told me that, like, don't believe anything your uncle says. That was actually one of the first conversations I remember having with my little brother, was that, like, he shouldn't believe anything he says. My parents just hadn't told me that yet. I just think they thought I was too little, to the point where he wouldn't try to convince me that he has a time machine. So here I am. He's telling me that he invented spacesuits for people to breathe in space that was hidden by the government. He's telling me that, like, you know, Harrier jets were invented by him. I was really into airplanes at the time, so I loved Harrier jets, and like, he had built all these rockets and stuff. And I'm like, damn, bro, my uncle is sick. Look at him. And what's crazy about him, dude, a lot of people are like, wow, your uncle's lying. He genuinely believes what he's saying, dude. I don't know how he does, but he really does think that he, like, somehow built the Harrier jets, even though he never went to college, has literally no engineering experience whatsoever. He just simply was not involved in the plane whatsoever, but in his mind, he's like, yep, that's me. So he starts saying that his latest invention has been the time machine, so he can go back in time and prevent the government from hiding his invention, and he can get rich and take care of the family. But he needs someone that he can trust to power the time machine, and I'm the only family member that he knows won't snitch. In reality, it's you're the only family member dumb enough to still believe anything that I'm saying, so do you want to help? And obviously, I believe my uncle, and I'm like, yes, of course I would love to help. Time travel sounds sick. How do I get involved? And he tells me that I have to sit on this broken bicycle thing and pedal while the lampshade spins, and while it spins, he's gonna have to stay absolutely still, but he'll be back in time while it's spinning. And I just have to keep pedaling until he unfreezes. And if I stop pedaling while he's not moving, then he's gonna get stuck in the past, and like, I'll never see him again. He horrifies me, but I'm like, okay, I'm willing to help you, you know, if it's good for the family, I'll do it. I'm thinking I'm just about to help my parents get the bands up, you know what I mean? So I start pedaling this bike like a madman, bro. My little kid legs are just like spinning this thing, and he's standing on this platform with the lampshade spinning around his head violently, and he's like, all right, here I go, and he T-poses with his shoulders like right underneath the lampshade and just stops moving. And so I kind of slow down my pedaling, but I'm keeping it going because he told me that I had to keep the lampshade spinning or he was going to get stuck in the past. And you might be thinking that my uncle only managed to stay still for like 30 seconds, bro, but he managed to stay in the T-pose for what felt like forever, dude. To the point where my mom came into the garage being like, Ryan, are you out here? But he had told me I couldn't tell anyone because my mom was in on the government conspiracy, so I just kept my mouth shut underneath this tarp pedaling this bicycle, while my uncle is literally standing there T-posing, dead silent, not saying a word, not moving whatsoever. Alright guys, I'm gonna stop the video for a second. On screen now is a Battle.net gift card for anybody who plays COD on the PC. I actually give a gift card away every single day here on this channel as a way to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed with those notifications on. It really does help out the channel a lot, so if you're not one of those people, like 80% of you are, go ahead and press that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It's free, and I'm literally giving away money, so you got nothing to lose. Real talk, I wanted to take a second to give a major thank you to everybody who has subscribed with notifications on, and yeah, I'll shut up and get back to the video. Thank you very much. Subscribe and turn on those noties, and I'm back to the video. Blah, 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 blah. So I'm hiding from my parents, powering my uncle's quote-unquote time machine, right? And finally, he comes back, and my little legs are exhausted, and he's like, wow, dude, what did you do? And I'm like, what do you mean, what did I do? And he's like, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it right. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's all your fault. And I'm like, dude, what did I do? What did I do? And he says that somehow when he was there, like, he got pulled back from the past before he was ready, and so I must have stopped pedaling. And I'm like, I did not stop pedaling before you got back. I know that. And he's yelling at me saying that, like, it's all my fault, and, you know, the fact that the family doesn't have all the money he would have gotten for his inventions is on me, and blah, 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 blah. And keep in mind, he's told me I can't, like, talk to my parents about it, so I'm feeling like trash, dude. I'm like, damn, I really screwed over my family, dude. I had a chance to make everybody retired for Christmas, and I blew it. I'm literally let everybody down. Like, I felt so bad, dude. Imagine if your uncle is telling you that your family all had a chance to never work again, and all you had to do was pedal, and like you did it wrong. Even though I swore that I did not stop pedaling, he was like, you must have done something wrong. So all Christmas Eve, I'm upset. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm just not vibing, and my mom can tell I'm upset. So we get in the car to go home, and my mom starts asking me what's wrong, and I'm like, I can't tell you. And finally, she's like, was it your uncle, da-da-da? I'm like, yeah. She goes, all right, well, you can tell me. I work for him. We have a secret agreement. I'm like, oh, okay. So I tell her this entire, like, time travel story, and me with the bike having to spin the lampshade on his head, and how he blamed me. And my mom's like, well, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know how to let you in on this secret. Your uncle is crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and none of that is true. I promise you that you did not help him run a time machine, and it is not your fault that he didn't invent anything, because it never existed in the first place. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, I was arguably the most relieved little kid of all time when my mom was telling me that. I was like, are you serious? this? And my dad's like, yeah, your uncle makes stuff up all the time. And I was like, thank God. I remember the relief. I literally felt like a weight had been lifted off my chest, dude. I felt so guilty that entire night. And after that, I got home. Obviously, I was up all night because it was Christmas Eve and I was hyped. But my parents felt so bad that I felt guilty on Christmas Eve that they let me open one of my presents early. And the one I picked happened to be, are you ready for this? The best Christmas present I've ever received, a Nintendo DS with Pokemon Diamond. And I played it literally all night underneath my covers with my parents thinking that I had left it downstairs. I had a Piplup. It was sick. Fantastic game. 10 out of 10. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought, and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Real talk, if you want more content, I do have a podcast called the Scuffed Cast. Link can be found down below. And if you enjoyed the intro song, it's a new one I just released. Link can also be found down below in the description. And if you're in the mood for merch, I've got good news for you. We've got a large variation, including the Christmas Karen sweaters that will be going away after Christmas, so get those now. And yeah, on that note, thank you all so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.